everyone, and welcome to John Talks Indian Cinema. I am your host, the Indian Cine-MANIAC, back with another 10ish-Minute review. Welcome to all you over 1,000 subscribers. I just love saying that, okay? So, the film I am going to review came from a longtime viewer at Siddhant Gambhir 2. Siddhant Gambhir 2. And the film he has chosen, or requested me to review, is from 2015. Gabbar is back. Not Gabbar, because I was listening. Gabbar. And it's a film directed by Radha Krishna Jargalamudi. That was pretty good. It stars a favorite of mine, Akshay Kumar, who I've seen in a bunch of stuff. I mean, just a few Baby, oh my God, and Airlift, amongst the one I just watched, Chakta. Why I'm going to screw up the name. Something to China, which I really like. Kareena Kapoor. Now, I know I've got a lot of new subscribers, and you might be new to the channel, but I got a thing for Kareena Kapoor ever since I think it was the third Indian film I saw 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Kareena Kapoor, I've got a thing for her, and so she's in this too. Although not the way I thought she was going to be. That was a little disappointing. I've seen her in Crew, Three Idiots, Good News. Shruti Haasan, daughter of Kamal Haasan, who again recently I've come to know. She would play the dancer in Hi Nanna and Hey Ram. Sunil Grover, who was in Jawan, Ghajini, and Bharat, and Suman, who plays the bad guy in this, and he's bad. This is actually a remake of a 2002 Tamil film called Ramana, and his character Gabbar is a tribute to Amjad Khan from the film Sholay. That was his name in it. And the film is set in Maharashtra. And look, the basic theme of this film, which I did not know going into it, is government corruption. I mean, this is about as obvious a social message film as you could possibly have. I'm not saying that as a critique. I'm just saying that that's what basically the film was about. So let's start with the story. The story is about and I will say this about the movie. They get into it right away with the opening theme song, which is Gabbar is Back. And it's almost, and this is why when I first saw like the credits, I thought maybe it was going to be like a spy movie, because it had a very James Bond, Flint, Matt Helm type opening at the beginning. So I was pretty shocked as it progressed. But that was that they set it up, and it's about his character that is a professor at a college, and I want to get the name of the college right because it plays a big role in this. National College. He's a professor at National College. But he's also this character name. His character's name is Aditya Singh. Aditya Singh Rajput, actually. But the bad guy he plays, or the anti-hero he plays, is Gabbar. So the story is how this guy is going after government corruption. And the first 15, 20 minutes, he kidnaps all these collectors, then lets 9 of them go and hangs one. So he's a murderer. And the reason why he's doing this, he's only going after dirty government workers, dirty bureaucrats, those who take bribes. And that's pretty evident right away. By the way, at the opening credit, and this is when I knew Kareena Kapoor wasn't going to be a big part of this. There's a credit that says "A big hug for Kareena Kapoor Khan, which led me to believe she's going to do some kind of cameo, which of course that ended up what it was. So in the opening scene is him at Akshay at a computer, no dialogue from him. And then they show all his minions, all his followers, kidnapping all these different collectors, all different ways, while he's behind the computer. And they do it, the camera flips around, so you're looking at like through the computer screen at his face, and he looks different too. He's got a beard, hair looks a little different. Usually he has a cropped hair, but he looked good. So they round up the collectors. Then they show the credit with the name Gabbar, but the B's are backwards, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know why they did that. So now it cuts to the college where he's giving a lecture on physics and leverage and all this other stuff. And then these thugs come in and they want to close the college down. And they start messing up people. Well, now Akshay's character takes on the thugs. And the thing about Akshay Kumar, which I've found out as I've watched these films, he is a martial arts guy. And he displays that in this film. In fact, that scene with the thugs, there's great fight scenes. And what I like about it, yes, they use slow motion like they always do, but it's really only like at one point he hits a guy with his knee in the face, and you literally see it hit the face in slow motion. But the rest of the stuff is full speed. So he's moving, he's jumping over cars. I mean, he's really good, and you can tell he knows what he's doing. So that was good. I mean, I like that fight. So he quiets things down. So now, as it goes on, he meets Shruti Haasan he's driving, and her and another girl stop him. Her friend is pregnant, and she ends up giving birth in the back of the car, and Shruti helps. And he even says to her, "Are you a doctor?" She goes, "No, I'm a lawyer, but I looked it up on Google." Now that's a thread for her throughout the film. She looks up stuff on Google, and she's adorable too, by the way. So they deliver the baby, and that's actually a kind of a funny scene too. But within when she gives birth, he finds some stuff happening in the hospital, and that's a big part of this too. There's corruption in the hospital. In fact, the one big scene about the corruption was some woman's husband dies, and what the hospital does is, excuse me one second. What the hospital does is they try to squeeze as much money out of you as they can, and then like one guy, his wife died, and he's given all their money to the hospital. Then when he finally pays off the bill, they told him she died yesterday. So that's a scene, and Akshay's there for that. So he's going to figure out how we can, take care of this. This other woman whose husband died, kind of in the same situation. They gave all their money, and he was dead. So Akshay Kumar brings the body into the hospital, the dead body. And the hospital spends days trying to save the already dead body. So Akshay kind of conned him because he had a death certificate from a different hospital. And that was a great scene. And he put one over him and got the woman $500 million. But that he's trying to fight injustice. And now, as the movie progressed, you don't know why he's doing this. And I found that a little confusing. Now they flash back, and this is where Kareena Kapoor comes in. Kareena Kapoor was his wife. And she's got no dialogue in this film. They do a song together, but no dialogue. Now, my one critique I have of the film, and I hope, well, what happened was, I don't know, it's awful. But it was funny because they do this, in the flashback, they do this beautiful love song. And you see their relationship, how it blossoms, and then they get married, right? And it's a long song, too. and she looks absolutely stunning, just beautiful. So at the end of the song, she's looking at the camera, and they've got, when they do the gauze over the camera, so it's kind of frosted, like to make her look even more beautiful. And she's looking at the camera. All of a sudden, they do this shot where there's four buildings, and they just implode. You know when they demolish a building and they just kind of collapse? Like four buildings just collapse right at the end of the song, and all you see of her is her hand. Okay? Now, it doesn't sound funny, but when you see it, it actually is kind of funny because it doesn't look real. Like all of a sudden these four buildings just collapse. But even having said that, so he goes to the guy who ends up being the bad guy, who's played by Suman, Vijay Patel. He's the bad guy. He's a good bad guy too, and he's trying to get something from them, and they completely dismiss him. Everybody in the families get I think it was two point something $1 million, and Akshay's character is very upset about this. He goes, well, take the phone, call up any local official and see what happens. So he does. He calls up a minister. He calls up an inspector or something. And they all hang up on him because they're in the pockets of this bad guy. So he goes to the door, and they're all making fun of him as he goes to the door. He shuts the door. Now there's another big fight that's very good. And he ends up getting the better of the bad guy, and he ends up sparing his life, and he's rewarded with an axe to the back of his head. But he survives, needless to say. But that's his motivation for why he's doing this. Okay, so that's what you find out. So let's see what else about the story. And there's a sideline plot of the cops trying to capture who this guy is because no one knows who he is, as his relationship is building with Shruti, whose name in the movie is Shruti, by the way. So there's a constable, and I guess in the police force in India, the constables are like the lowest form of life, right? They're getting tea, they're getting fritters, and he's the only one that seems like he's got a brain because all the officers are corrupt. And he offers up some ideas, but they don't want to listen to it, so they bring in this other guy who's a badass guy who actually listens to him. So there's that sideline of them trying to capture Gabbar. And let's see. So basically that's the story. And then at the end, so he ends up getting his revenge in a pretty unbelievable way. He ends up kidnapping the bad guy. And that was a good scene too. They were at a birthday party. Everyone had masks on, like Patil, and they got him out of there. Well, then there's a fight scene between those two, which I have to say wasn't believable because the other guy didn't look like he could throw a punch at all compared to Kumar. But anyway, they have a big fight. They end up outside a window, and they end up landing in a pool area. And it was the coolest thing because he kicks him in a way that he goes in the air, hits the side of the patio, the deck, bounces in the air into the water, and he's dead. It was in slow motion, but you should have seen how high it was. So now he got his revenge, right? And he also saved, they arrested all his, I call them minions, but they were students that helped him out, and they were getting tortured. So what he does at the very end, he turns himself in. So the cops actually didn't catch him. They found out who he was, but they never caught him. And there's a great scene, by the way, when he's in the van and they're transferring him to a jail, and I don't know how many people are there. They look like a couple thousand, and they surround the van, and the cop asks him to help him out, and he gets on top of the van and does an impassioned plea, and it's a great speech. And he does this thing where he says, "Who is Gabbar?" And the whole crowd says, "I am Gabbar." It's like Spartacus. If you've ever seen Spartacus, I am Spartacus. That's what it reminded me of. But when you see how many, and it's shot with an aerial view, You can't believe how many people are there. And at the end of the film, he pays for his crimes, and that was his plan. He wanted to pay for his crimes. He did what he needed to do. And the last line in the film, and I have questions about this last line, he says, and he looks, by the way, he does a lot of narration directly to the camera, breaking the fourth wall. He's talking to you. And he did this at the very end. In fact, the noose, it's not around his neck yet, but he's looking through the noose, and he says, I will be dead. What about you, Kalia? Says that straight to the camera. Now, I don't know that reference, so I looked it up, and Kalia is a force of retribution, a figure that's a force of retribution, but it's also a 1981 Hindi action thriller starring Big B, Amitabh Bachchan. So I don't exactly get the reference. I don't know what that meant. Can you guys explain it to me in the comment section? Because I'm just not sure. So I'm going to say the story. I really like the story. I'm going to give the story a 4. I thought it was good. I didn't understand. Like I said, I didn't understand why he was doing certain stuff. But once they showed the flashback and you understood, because they don't waste any time getting into it. And you're rooting for a murderer. I mean, he's a murderer, right? He's murdering corrupt people, but he's still murdering people. And when the Shruti realizes what he's doing, there's a revelation there too. But there's a court scene with that, so she still defends him because she loves him. But the performances, look, I thought like the guy who played the constable, which was Sunil Grover, he was good. I mean, it wasn't a really dark movie. It had, even with all the murders, it had its light moments. But he's just Akshay Kumar. I really like him. He's not an over the top guy. He definitely has a presence to him, and as far as the action goes, he's really good. I mean, the guy can move, and he also wore a certain brand of sneakers, like all different color. I didn't recognize the brand, but they almost looked like wrestling shoes. But he wore the same type throughout the film. I thought that was kind of interesting. Never sandals. But so I'm going to give the performances. I guess because of him, the strength of his performance, and I thought the bad guy was good too. I'm going to give the performances a 4. Now, as far as the music goes, and there was a lot. Again, the opening song, Gabbar is Back, which gets the whole thing rolling. And then the second song was When They Fell in Love, and it was Our Eyes. And that was a long song. That went on for a while. But that wasn't bad. I thought that song was okay. Again, the third song, Our Story, was their flashback story with Kareena Kapoor, which was a beautiful number. She looked gorgeous, but it ends with the buildings collapsing. So that's going to stick in my craw for a while. I'm going to have tough times with that. Now, at the bad guy's birthday party, where they're going to kidnap him, they do a giant number. And I know that there was a dancer in it that was a cameo, and I think it was Chitrangada Singh. A good-looking woman, can move, but that was a great number too. She looked fantastic. So the music was good. I mean, I wasn't like, again, some of the numbers I thought went a little too long. But I thought all in all, it was good, and the incidental music was good too. So, when I feel that way, I usually give it a 3. So I'm going to give it a 3. Now, as far as the final verdict of Gabbar is Back, I'm going to give it, because I will also say this, it was a 2-hour movie. It wasn't 3 hours. It wasn't a long one, and it went pretty quickly. And I think that's because I just enjoy Akshay. I don't think I've seen a bad Akshay movie. I'm sure there are out there, but I don't think I've seen one. So I'm going to give this one a 4. I actually really enjoyed it. There was some things in it that were a little, like that. Again, I keep going back to that scene with the buildings collapsing. It just was so ridiculous. They did this one other thing. The guy who owns the hospital where Akshay did all this stuff, his son ends up getting killed. And the way they did it, He's trying to drive his car through this giant mob. And finally, from the car, he pulls out a gun, right? And he gets out of the car and he's waving the gun around. And I mean, there's a lot of people surrounding him, including the guy whose wife died, and they made him pay everything till they would tell him, right? So now they swarm him, and you hear a shot go out, right? Now it's an aerial view, and it's like a circle, and the mob goes like this, just breaks apart, and you see him in the middle of the shot with blood on his chest. It was a great shot, and it was just a very I don't want to say cool. That's not the right word, but it was kind of creepy actually, the way the crowd just kind of slowly moved away. But I'm gonna my verdict. I don't know if I said the verdict, but I'll say it again, and this time I'll put the number up. I'm gonna give it a 4. I enjoyed it. I really did. So let me know what you think in the comment section if you have seen it, and is the corruption on so many levels in India, is it that bad? I mean, this was 2015, so maybe it's gotten better, but it seemed like it wasn't just like the cops, it was everywhere. Is it still like that? I'm curious about that. So let me know in the comment section, okay? If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, hit the notification button, and how we got to 1,000, you guys shared the video. So please share the videos, okay? And I guess that's it. So let me know what you think. We'll talk to you soon on John Talks Indian Cinema with either a trailer reaction or a 10-ish minute review. Thanks for watching, everybody.
गब्बर खुश हुआ ये कॉमिक मूवी गेम नहीं ना स्पाइडर है ना सुपरमैन रातों को सड़कों पे रक्षा